There's a lot of attention being paid in the media these days to the both creative and therapeutic potential of altered states of consciousness. I'm talking about the euphoric and poetic reveries occasioned by certain molecules and compounds known as psychedelics, as well as cannabis. And so it's really interesting in trying to make sense of these altered states. You know, some people refer to them as mythopoetic trance states, states of consciousness in which you experience an absolute unmixed attention, a form of prayer, a feeling of the divine, a feeling of the sublime, a kind of opiated adjacency in which you're cracked open and you can see the light. And so why does so much magic? How do we make sense of these enchanted states? What do they tell us about the nature of how we perceive reality? And I think a great analogy for an altered state is dreaming. Human beings go to sleep every night. Occasionally they have these vivid dreams that they can remember. And sometimes dreams can be sublime and adventuring and full of joy and wonder and reverie as you fly and you live out all kinds of fantasies. The laws of physics no longer apply. You are a mind in flight. Dreams are glimpses to the potential of the human imagination. But sometimes dreams become nightmares. Sometimes the emotions of fear and dread can pollute the dream, can hijack the dream, can disrupt the dream. In states of consciousness that are unique, altered states of consciousness are very similar. People talk about infinite resonance with set and setting as the most crucial variables to determine the outcome of the experience, whether it will be positive or negative. David Lenson goes further. He says, if you think of what human consciousness is a collaboration between subject and object. We are always a mixture of our own expectations and personality traits, right, and predispositions, and the environment that surrounds us with its contextual cues and its way of suggesting a certain kind of behavior or reality. We window dress reality and we become the window dressing, so to speak. And so when we are in a highly suggestible state, an altered state is characterized by high suggestibility, by infinite resonance with whatever signals are coming in, both from within and from without, then it becomes infinitely important to curate your set and setting. So when you're entering into an altered state of consciousness, you should pre-construct the environment. You should think judiciously about the space and the signals that the space broadcasts when you're going to be in that highly suggestible and open state of consciousness. And if you do pre-construct and program the set and setting, then an altered state experience can be very much akin to a waking dream. And in your pre-planning of creating an environment that is safe and imaginative and beautiful and sublime, then the environment is broadcasting that particular vibe into the dream. So you're less likely to have a nightmare during this waking dream. It's very much like the film Inception, right? That Chris Nolan films in which Leonardo DiCaprio is like a dream hacker, and he's explaining to people that like when you're in a dream state, if something happens in the default world, it literally pollutes your dream state. So example, like if you're in the in the real world, when you're dreaming, you're in the real world and somebody sprays water in your face, then in your dream it'll start raining, so to speak. And I think altered states are very similar. The set and setting becomes the signal that permeates the flavor of the dream. So the waking dream becomes something that is incredibly malleable. And the potential here is huge for psychotherapy because it means that you can create the conditions that will inform a particular kind of psychological experience that within the person's consciousness. So you can pre-construct the kind of experience that they're more likely to have through your creative and linguistic choices, which means that we become authors of our dreams, whose outcomes then, of course, spill over into our waking states. It's the reason that when people have mystical experiences that are positive, they leave lasting positive cognitive benefits, you know, ad infinitum. So yeah, I think there's a lot to explore here in terms of the potential of altered states of consciousness for human creativity, for human flourishing. You could think of them ultimately as a kind of open heart surgery for the mind, you know. And I think we can get really creative and really imaginative, and in combination with altered states of consciousness, sensory deprivation tanks, augmented and virtual reality experiences, we can really unleash the human soul to landscapes and soundscapes and dreamscapes beyond our imagination. This is our potential, to move into our own imaginations, to literally make our dreams come true. And in the words of Willy Wonka, never forget, we are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Dream.